IFB Thursday night broadcast.
That's gonna work great, man. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There once was a shiny planet.
Called Earth.
No, called Mushy Land.
There you go. That's right, baby. Welcome to season 6 of IFB Interfleet Broadcasting. It's our award-winning pop culture, sci-fi, news, and entertainment channel. I'm New York Pete, your co-host. My best buddy is Chris the Tipsy Toaster. And we're bringing you our unique take from growing up watching and reading 70s, 80s, and 90s TV and, you know, the movies, the cartoons, comic books, novels, and, of course, visiting conventions back then and even now. And we are big classic Battlestar Galactica fans and of the entire franchise. But our hearts are in the past where we watched. We're very, you know, proud of our nostalgia and the genre. So welcome, everybody. There's a lot of you out there already on. Thanks for joining us. We have a great show tonight. We have updates. There's shore leave and shore leave guests that are coming. And, of course, we have Jack Perez, director, writer, producer, who's done some really cool stuff. And we'll talk to him all about, you know, what it's like and what he's up to. So, yeah, it's all great stuff. Tipsy, how are you?
Good. I'm ready to go to Mushy Land.
Yeah, I think you are. We have
somebody needs to write a comic that's just Mushy Land. A Mushy Land comic. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, it would be.
It would be
from
perspective.
The Daggett's perspective.
I think there is a comic from the Daggett's perspective. I believe we did read it. I think we did put it. We did a review on it. I have to find it again, but I know.
Yeah, I have to find it again. All right. Well, yeah, we'll get. Well, maybe they should do one then from Boxy's perspective. I mean, he went through a lot.
Mm-hmm. I know he didn't. He's just like, hey, let's go snow. Let's go check out the snow.
Yeah, he just does what
Meanwhile,
he wants.
the poor Daggett is like, it's still there. Pete. Okay, well, hey. We'll let Pete rejoin because he is not with us right now. He is pushing out 0 frames per second on his thing. So it's kind of a neat. Let's see if I can do the same. Hang on, right about there, right? Now we look the same. For those people who are like, they're both frozen now. So Pete will be back shortly, I hope. Silent ankle biter. Exactly, Paul. I hate that dog. Daggett. So, Pete is offline, and so we will go and have some fun. So, anyways, let me pull over to scenes, and we'll cut Pete out because he looks a little weird right there. There you go. That's good for now. Anyways, until Pete can join back up, I will be your host. He should be coming back on here shortly. He did have some interesting connection problems earlier, so this is not a surprise. The New York thing. But anyways, while we're waiting for him, I will do my part of welcoming everyone. Dun dun dun. But now my stuff's way over on the right-hand side, so now I have to go over this way. There we go. So we got Paul. Welcome, Paul. Lola. Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl. Baz. I've been looking at some of your pictures. They've been amazing. That fox is crazy. We got Swordsmith Baz. R.D. Marino. Hey, welcome. Going to see you again shortly at Shore Leave. We have some Shore Leave guests coming. Buffering issues on your end, Erica? Oh, that's interesting. Hey, you're back. Is he back? No, he's not back yet. I don't see him back. Well, anyways, I'm good, so I know it's not my end. Keep using the little circles, keep popping up. Oh, this is not good. Dancing at the Copa, exactly. Who else we got out here? Silent ICU. Bez. Erica. Hi, Erica. Buffering issues there too. Maybe it's on Facebook only. I'm not seeing any of the messages, Kim says. John. Hey, John. Stream Elements is out there. Just kidding. Lola. Chuck. Another alert now? Yes. Yes, another alert now. It's Fanily. And James McCoy. George. Giacumus. Eric O'Reilly is on. Cassie BSG is it earlier than usual? No, it's usually 8 o'clock. Most of the time we're late. That's what there's to it. And that's it. Looks like we just got about everybody. Meanwhile, tap dancing behind the scenes, trying to get a hold of Pete. Find out Whiskey Tango Foxtrot for those people in the military. Who knows what that is? I'm going to... He was asking me earlier. I should have got the clue. He's asking me earlier. So what's my output frame rate? And I was like, it looks like it's okay. Evidently, it's not. All right. Anybody else out there having connection problems? Give me a yell up on the chat. Let me know that, and so I know if it's just Facebook or YouTube or what might be. It started at 3 a.m. I hope not. That would be real early, but hey, we would do it for the fans, for the fun. All right. And we have... Hit the refresh button here. Well, there I am. Says I'm streaming. Everything's functional. This is the great part about live streaming, by the way. You just never know what's going to happen. So anyhow, where's Pete? Good question. Well, it's 2 a.m. here. Well, Cassie, thank you for joining us at 2 a.m. Really do appreciate that. Tipsy froze for a second, but now you are good. That's good. So I think we're all good. I just need to reconnect or disconnect Pete. Pete is stuck. Can I boot him? I don't know if I can boot him or not. Oh, there he goes. He booted off. Hopefully he comes back on. We'll give him a second. Until then, hopefully you all have a beverage out there. And if you don't have a beverage or something to put your beverage in, we did start a new store, so check out our new store. I don't have any of the merchandise from it as of yet. I have ordered, so we can show off some of it. But be for sure there is some Tipsy merchandise, including some Tipsy glasses and everything else. There's Pete. He joined back up. And he's still frozen. Well, that's darn interesting. Let me check something here. Lindsay's on. I just want to see. Lindsay, hi. Don't take off yet. I'm going to assign you to an input. Make sure you are good. New York Pete left meeting. New York Pete says he's on. No, you're not. You can hear me, but you are frozen, Pete. Hang on, just to make sure, Pete. Pete's messaging me in the background. Here you are, Pete. Yeah, that's you. You're frozen. But let me try something new. Put you on 4. Nope. You are frozen, Pete. Pete is on the... See, I mentioned the ice planet, and this is what happens to me. Give me a second, everybody. Appreciate your patience. This is why we have two people running the show here. Pete says he's switching over to a laptop, so he'll be there shortly. Just want to see if I got call number 1. Cool. Anyhow, welcome. I don't know if I want to wait for Pete to do the toast, but I'm going to do toast anyways. He can toast later. So we really appreciate you being here, and I'm going to go ahead and put his picture up here too, just so I need to be able to see the notes from everybody, chats from everyone. So anyhow, replying to me, no, how close? Everybody else is still good out there, right? Just give me I'm good type thing, and we'll get going. Anyways, I'll wait for an I'm good, and then I'll move on. Hey, everything says good on my end. It says streaming, and I've got greens. Yep, okay, cool. Anyways, we like to toast to the fans every week. We are here every Thursday, by the way. Pete is usually a little bit more animated than this. Just a little bit, but not by much, trust me. Anyways, we always toast to the fans because it is so important that we recognize you. Pete, are you there? No, he's there. That's just Pete. That's just normal Pete. Yep, he's just very slow today. But we always recognize the fans because it's so important that we, we've met actors and we've met everybody. It's people behind the scenes that are great as well. The directors, which we'll have on tonight, we've done artists and authors and all of those people that really create these universes. But out of all of those people, the most important person is the fan, because most of those people started out as fans of some sort of genre or some sort of movie or TV show, and the fans are what keep the fandom running. So we always toast to the fans, and this is to you. And tonight I am doing this is a special Cylon red, red eye, red stuff. But this is to you guys because as we always say here, fans feel the fleet. So here's to you. Ooh, that's sweet. But don't worry, I also have my rust backup. Always have a backup. And then I can always wash it down with my water. Ambrosia. Yep, cheers, everybody. So welcome. Lindsay, I do see that you are on the... you've logged in, but don't worry, we'll get to you. We're having shore leave tonight. Tonight is going to talk about shore leave. Let me pull that up for you real quick. If you haven't heard us talk about shore leave, we plan to be there. Hopefully you plan to be there too, but a lot of you plan to be there. That's definitely not shore leave that I'm looking for. Don't type in shore leave. There we go. So don't forget to purchase your memberships now. This is going to be a big one, guys and gals and daggets and borets and whoever else is out there. But let me get screen share. There we go. So don't forget, purchase your memberships now. Wow, it's only 35 days away. Wow, that's close. So we are going to have a lot of fun there. We're going to have, looks like lots of interesting people. There's also free autographs. If you buy a ticket, you get free autographs, this is pretty much unheard of, if you ask me, in regards to most of your conventions don't give out anything for free. So this is cool. So we got celebrity guests, and you have you can have a dinner with those people, and I think we're going to have Lorette and Boomer there, and I mean not Lorette, Sheba and Boomer, and of course Jack. Jack's going to be there virtually. courtesy of IFB, and getting him connected up into there with shore leave. So good to go there. And Lindsay's on. I must be having a problem tonight. Cool. There's Facebook, by the way. There we are. I am broadcasting. I'm checking. So we're good. Pete just does not have a signal, evidently. PowerPoint screen share. Let me get rid of that. And we'll go back to my wonderful mug. So, anyways, I heard some news. I just saw some news today in regards to, Shore Leave has a couple of the people from Stargate Atlantis, but there was supposed to be a remake of Stargate, and it looks like they started it and then just recently said they're not going to do it. Does this sound familiar? I believe we just had this thing happen with Battlestar Galactica not too long ago. Not too long ago at all, as a matter of fact. So, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to lose out on the Stargate one as well. So, I'm sure we'll get more about that when John comes back on for his news and review. So, meanwhile, I'll keep tap dancing, which is what happens usually. I've got Lindsay. Are you still there, Lindsay? I see you up, but I do not see a video feed. Is something not working on your end? If you just show me a video feed, that'd be great. But Pete says he can hear me, but I can't see Pete. But we'll keep going. And Pete got a new tie. Found a Battlestar Galactica tie. That was kind of cool. So actually, we can. Speaking of merchandise, maybe I can find that real quick. Yay, there we go. Shameless plug while we're standing waiting for Pete. We have a merchandise store now. We'll put it up in the comments. I can do that, right? All proceeds are there to help us continue to broadcast wonderful content that we have here. There we go. There's that. Sent it up. But we got all sorts of things here. We're working on some more things to put on here. If you got any, this looks Peter is there. Hi, Pete. Hang on. Try now, Pete. All right, Pete. I see that you're broadcasting, but I do not see you. Interesting. Interesting. Let's put you on 4, see what happens. Nope. I'm thinking it's a Zoom problem. I would say it's a Zoom problem. That makes life really interesting now. Anyways, you guys can cruise that site while I mess around here for a minute. It's got some cool stuff in it. Calls and Pete. settings. That's it. All right, everybody, just hold still while I go to Zoom and find out. As I said before, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. I've probably lost half of you already. One-time passcode. Anybody else tired of this thing? It kills me. It's alright, send me my one-time passcode. Oh, this seems to be a Zoom problem. Well, let me put some music on for y'all while I mess around with this. Right? Always need some music. might be a Zoom problem, Pete. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. And one of our guests is with us too.
Yeah, I couldn't even pull them on. It was a. Looks like Zoom. Zoom did the Zoom. It was zooming.
Did a Zoom?
It was zooming.
It's zooming. So are we broadcasting or not?
Yeah, we're broadcasting right now. We've been broadcasting. It probably lost everybody after I've been sitting here trying to troubleshoot. We'll give them a shot, right? I mean, let's see. Hey, we got. Let's see if we got anybody left out there. Let's see. Yeah, we've got Paul still on.
All right, cool.
Yeah, Paul's still there.
All right, we're up.
Somebody send out the rescue shuttles. Yeah. That's always something I always wondered.
Well, look.
You always wondered, after they get blown off the Galactica in to put out the fire.
Yeah.
And they had to, they're floating in space. They had to send a shuttle out there to get them. So
that's
I
true.
Wondered about that.
Well, I'll tell you this much.
They don't make rescue Vipers unless you watch Galactica, 1980.
Yeah, exactly. We are just about ready to have our first round of guests. We have shore leave updates, everybody, and so that's happening. And I guess since we're back on, and we are, let me just adjust. Here we go. Adjust a little bit. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. You can now fix if you want, Chris. But we just wanted to really quick. I wanted to bring up a couple of things in terms of shore leave. We have confirmed our table, right? And we're being joined by Colonial Warriors, Battlestar Bulletin Board, R.D. Moreno. Boom. So Rick is going to be there. He's got his table. I think it's going to be close to us, if not right next to us. So that's cool. The BFC, Battlestar Fan Club, is going to be there. Their executive board will be there. They'll be joining us on our panel. Raider One will be there as well. So we have a lot of the main Battlestar Galactica groups will be there with us. And I don't know that I am.
You are frozen again, Pete.
It's done. All right.
I can hear you though.
Yep.
So we'll just keep with you. Keep with your
All
face,
right.
but that's kind of a scary face.
Yeah, it's kind of like bad. It's like a mid.
There we go.
There we go. Back up. Yeah, this is pretty weird. But anyway, that's part of what we have going on. I'm looking for my notes. I had to relocate, but I'll tell you that in terms of shore leave, we're having our world premiere convention screening of The Stranded Warrior. We're going to have a Q&A. We're going to have a panel afterwards, and we're going to have everybody that is involved in the Battlestar Galactica fandom is going to be there with us. So we will, do the screening. We'll talk about the film. We'll do a Q&A, and then everybody else that's a part of, Battlestar Galactica fandom will be part of the panel. And then we can discuss a little bit about, what Battlestar is and, what it means and, what it's done for us and look where we are now and how it's alive and, keeping the torch going. So that's a big part of what we're looking to do. And as a part of, just being, members and supporters and a part of a great convention, which I remember, finding out about shore leave back in the day. Starlog magazine, back in the early 80s, they started having a convention section, and they always had shore leave was always in there. Unfortunately, I've mentioned this before. We talked to our previous guests. Don had come on, and living in New York City, there's always other conventions to go to, but I'm finally gonna get to go to shore leave, and we're doing it in a big way. We have our table. We're gonna be there. We're gonna have free autographs. So some of the cast and crew from Stranded Warrior will be there, including, of course, Tiny Bean Tara from IFB, who plays Colonel Medea. Supporting actress in The Stranded Warrior will be there at the table. So will some of the Colonial Warriors who were involved in The Stranded Warrior, and there'll be free autographs, part of the promotion and the winding down of The Stranded Warrior. I also want to mention the festival. festival circuit in terms of the Stranded Warrior. This weekend is the New York City Triborough Film Festival. The Stranded Warrior was selected and is being screened. We also got a nomination for Best Wardrobe in the Triborough Film Festival, which is our last
That's awesome.
film festival. We've won over 30 awards internationally, both domestic and internationally. So we are really humbled. The Stranded Warrior was a showcase, and I think we've proven that we have the ability as Galactica fans to come together and put together a live action fan film and do it right. So we're very proud of that, and hopefully all of you guys can come and see it. So stay tuned for that. And I think at that
Ready to
point
go whenever you are, Pete.
yeah, we're ready. We have Lindsay's with us from Shore Leave, and she has a particular I guess, track to borrow from Dragon Con that she's in charge of. She's going to tell us about, what she does. We were hoping to maybe, rustle up another guest from another director from Shore Leave, but if she gets on, she gets on as we're talking. But you see, tonight's full of all kinds of great anomalies.
Challenges.
However, challenges, yes. So, Lindsay, thank you for your patience. Thank you for taking the time out, and welcome to IFB. How are you?
Hi, thank you for welcoming me. I am doing well, actually.
Tell us about your role in Shore Leave, and tell us what section you run.
So I am the new masquerade director,
Yay.
and that means I am, it's kind of scary. I've been involved for, this will be my 11th year, but the position needed someone who knew the con, so I stepped up. And so what my main job is, I'm in charge of the costume competition. Now, a lot of cons will have costume competitions, but some of the older cons, some of you may know, have the old style masquerades. And it's not just a costume competition. It also can have like skits or other types of performances in your costume. So you actually don't have to have made your own costume. You can participate with a skit, which makes this a little different than a lot of conventions, costume contests. And then I'm also in charge of the cosplay track. So we usually try to have some panels on costuming. Not sure what will be on the schedule yet, but usually things like wigs, or I'm trying to get a cosplay on the cheap right now, since everyone's trying to stretch your budget, but you still want to cosplay. So hopefully that will be a panel that's on the schedule.
Very cool. So this is not your first rodeo. Tell us about your background. How did you get involved with, the convention thing?
So a little over a decade ago, I had a friend who actually was very active with Balticon, and he was encouraging me. You need to cosplay, you need to come out and compete. And I just put it off. I mean, I'd always played around a little bit with costumes, but I didn't consider myself, I sort of saw the transition from costumer to cosplayer, so I will use both terms interchangeably. But and then finally in 2015, I decided I was going to go and compete, actually at Balticon. And then another came. I'd never been to a con before, so I just kind of went big. I'm going to come in, I'm going to compete. Another con came up first, which is a Doctor Who con, which is no longer existent, Regeneration Who, but they didn't have a competition. So my first one was at Balticon 2015.
Oh.
And I competed as a novice. I continued to compete, became a master costumer. In the meantime, my friends from Balticon are like, you got to come to Shore Leave. You got to come to Shore Leave. And I did. And well, that has become my home con. I fell in love with the community there. I mean, we're just kind of like, if you've seen, the Star Trek Lower Deck show, like they're kind of like a mishmash. Like that's us. I mean, we're a motley crew, but we have a lot of fun. So anyhow, I had competed for a while and I needed to step away from competition. So I started judging, and I loved to judge because I love sharing people's work with them. That became way more exciting for me than actually competing. So I judged, we're actually at a few cons, and then there was a change in leadership that didn't work out, and people knew that I knew the position, so I stepped into the role, and it's a little scary, even though I've been involved with the con for many years. But I'm excited because we sort of have a new exciting path. We're kind of refreshing it, updating it, and it should be good.
Cool. What type of a is it a point system that you use? How do you because sometimes a lot of the competition is arbitrary. Do you have you set up a panel of judges, or is it just one? How do you do what's the mechanics of it?
So there's two types of judging. The first judging takes place in what we call the green room or just off of the green room, and that is for people who've actually made part or all of your costumes. You actually can like maybe only made a prop and still compete in workmanship. And I have two judges. One of them actually has been costuming for many, many years. She's also an author. And the other one actually, she's the one who does the costumes for Maryland Renaissance Fair. So they will be judging that part. And then we have the other piece, which is the stage presentation that is on the stage. And we have usually a mix of judges. We have people who've costumed before. We try to get like an author or celebrity on there. Some years we get a bunch of celebrities, other years, we don't have any. So that is on the on stage part of like the presenting your costume part of it. So we do have like a rubric that judges it on a point system for each. And like obviously for workmanship, it'd be like on the complexity, the skills you used, the materials you use, how it looks on stage, where the stage is how you're presenting it. And we have different categories too. Like we have most beautiful, we have most humorous. So we always have like several skits that are trying to get that most humorous award. So you can kind of do with it what you want. And we have a lot of different categories. So we kind of have room for everybody.
Oh, which is really, really cool. However, I believe that sometimes depending on the con and depending on, the either, like you said, masquerade or cosplay competition, they will also have age categories, right? They'll have like younger than this or older that. Is that something that you'll be doing as well?
We actually have a young fans. I believe it goes up to 13 or 14. We're tweaking some of the rules, and a young fan can always choose to compete as an adult, and we have had kids compete as adults and win. But it provides sort of everybody wins in the young fan. So it's great for like kids to get their feet wet and to get in there, to get up on the stage, because it's scary. Like it can be very scary for some of them to be up. And I've actually helped some of my friends' kids backstage. So I've seen the backstage, and to get them out on the stage is its own thing. So we try to celebrate all of them.
Cool. All right.
Teens can celebrate as adults. I cannot participate as adults.
That is really cool. So we are definitely looking forward to a really good shore leave then. What is your genre? Like what is it that you're, interested in? Is it more fantasy or is it sci-fi as a fan? And as you said, when you're doing your own cosplay, what was your focus?
So I started off making like Ren Fair costumes just to go to Ren Fair, and then once I got involved in cosplay, sci-fi is probably my bread and butter. Although, I mean, I'll occasionally just do something else. But a lot of my cosplays are Doctor Who or obviously Star Trek, because I describe Shore Leave as a sci-fi con with a Star Trek flavor. But we've got room for everybody. As you see, like we have Stargate guests as our main guests, so we kind of cover all of it. But for Doctor Who, I do a lot of River Song. She kind of inspired me to kind of like take charge. It's kind of interesting how you can use the characters to like feel more secure, because I'm very shy. People wouldn't know, but I'm very shy and anxious. But I put on that costume and I have all the confidence in the world. And I like to do mashups. Like I have a Disney princess Jedi Knight mashup, which is
Oh,
fun. So sometimes I just do silly stuff. I do a little bit of horror. I have my Elvira is well known.
Ah, there we go.
People love my Elvira, and I do like sometimes I'll do like a mashup, like a femme Pennywise, from the movie It. So I kind of have a variety, but obviously sci-fi is my bread and butter. I don't have any Battlestar Galactica cosplays. I've
See?
toyed with
not
it.
yet.
Not yet. You never know. I mean, you never know. I'll be inspired or be like, well, like, oh, now I have to make this. So, but I watched. I will admit the old stuff I can't. But the new show I watched all of it. It
Fair
it was
enough.
fun.
Fair enough, Lindsay. Maybe if you get a chance, you stop by the panel, and you watch the our short, the Stranded Warrior, and maybe you'll be inspired. And maybe we'll have some news for you. Hopefully by shore leave, we'll know this weekend is, of course, like I mentioned, the Triborough Film Festival. The nomination for wardrobe is
That's what I heard. I was
yeah,
like,
it,
well, good
it's
luck on that. That's
no, thank you.
exciting.
Yes, it is, but
It's a
hopefully
challenge. Wardrobe is, costuming is a challenge.
it sure is. And we had a great Tricky Faye who is in charge of our cosplay coverage. She just did a convention and
We
we've
got two
posted
of
some
them
of the
actually.
video.
Yeah.
Yep, two of them. So she was in charge of, getting all the costumes together, making sure that they were, as accurate to the original as possible. And they came out really, really well. And we've done very well in the festival circuit. So hopefully you'll come and take a look yourself, and I know you'll appreciate that kind of stuff because it's a
Yeah,
live
I'll
action.
definitely go.
So
I have a busy schedule, but I need to swing
thank
by
you.
because I'm
You
curious now.
you're invited. Yes, we want to make sure of that. But thank you for taking the time out. We look forward to shore leave this year. Like I'd mentioned, we have a table thanks to you guys, and so be there with the screening, the panel. So we'll look forward to shore leave. Look forward to, if at all possible, come by. We'd love to have you.
It sounds great. And hopefully some of you might want to come out and compete. I'd love to see you.
Okay, deal. That's a deal. As a matter of fact, we're gonna have, I think right now we're gonna have three Cylons. We're gonna have Colonial Warriors, and there might be an appearance by one of the bad guys, the baddies from the Stranded Warrior, who is a character from the original that everybody knows, Count Iblis. So there's a possibility.
That sounds great.
So, Lindsay, thank you again, and look forward to seeing you.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow. Okay, cool. That's exciting. It really is. I'm glad that we're able to salvage our shore leave update. It's always nice to have them be a part of IFB and our updates. We've said that IFB is uh, totally set for the shore leave and convention shore leave 46. We're committed. They've extended all types of courtesies to us for the first time, and so we've embraced that. And of course, we have the world convention premiere at Shore Leave for the Stranded Warrior. It's an award-winning fan film dedicated to the classic Battlestar Galactica. So Tipsy, if you would, I know that we have our guest is in the green room, and we
Working on it.
yeah, we're
I
looking
saw him
forward
there for a
to
second, but
yes. So we're looking forward to having Jack Perez come on, who of course is a well-known
there he is.
director, writer, producer in the industry. And I know that Chris, we were looking through IMDb, Reels, web page, looking at all kinds of background stuff, and a lot of it was familiar, especially of course we can't not mention Xena and the pilot, of course, that he directed, which is a show that all of us have either watched in its entirety or at least
You
a
said
good amount
worshipped
of it.
wrong.
And there is some other really, really cool films that Jack's actually worked on, and directed, features and the like. And I know he's got some new stuff coming on. Uh, and Chris,
There you go.
there we go. Oh, Jack, thank you very much for coming on to IFB. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you on the show, specifically since you've done a bunch of sci-fi slash horror films, fantasy stuff,
Right.
and you've been in the industry. You're a part of the Directors Guild of America and the Writers Guild. And you've been in the business a long, long time. So thank you. And tell us a little bit about, yourself. Are you a fan? Are you like, what drives you to
Oh
make your
yeah.
films?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I came sort of up. Well, I should say that my father was a was a hardcore movie geek. So I have to credit him for introducing me to film in general as a very young kid. And he was a big classic Hollywood lover. So all the kind of great films of the 30s, 40s, and 50s I was introduced to. But, I have to say, when I saw the 33 King Kong, like so many filmmakers that are my age, I was so inspired by that film in particular, and so curious about how the effects were achieved. That really started me on my road to making my own Super 8 movies. And then that sort of coincided with the 77 Star Wars, and that sort of set everything, alight. And of course, Galactica, I was just thinking about this, how the idea of a television show, a weekly television show that could satisfy sort of that heroin fix that that had been created by Star Wars. It was just kind of like, it wasn't Star Wars, it was his own thing, but it had enough, certainly with Dykstra involved and so forth, it had enough of that thing that we had been, sort of the drug we had been introduced to. So it was a perfect way of sort of surviving until the next until the next Star Wars movie. But then, obviously Galactica was a joy unto itself. And yeah, so I've always had a love for science fiction and horror and fantasy, even though a bunch of my films are, character-driven dramas or comedies or whatever. But I seem to constantly come back to that initial inspiration. It just comes very naturally to me. So, and I love it. So, it's my thing, I guess.
Jack, how'd you break into business? How'd you get in?
Well, I went to film school. I went to NYU, and I did what most people do. You graduate, and then you go to LA, and then you basically are unemployed and depressed for a long period of time. And
Wow, didn't sugarcoat that one any at all.
no. It's that. I have to say, I tell this to my students. I feel like the first year, easily the first full year of my LA experience, I think I literally blotted it from my memory just because it was so stressful. But I was very focused on becoming a director. I just didn't know exactly how I was going to go about doing it. I ended up ultimately, my first gigs were directing behind the scenes documentaries. So there was a production company. They had these trailers on the back lot of Universal Studios. It was called ZM Productions. And they're actually most famous for having produced Hearts of Darkness, which is the making of Apocalypse Now, which is, I think, is the
Wow.
definitive behind the scenes documentary in terms of how candid it is about the process of making movies. I actually joined that company right at the time they were finishing that movie, and they had a contract with Universal and a lot of the studios to make behind the scenes documentaries for all the major movies. So my postgraduate work was really directing a ton of behind the scenes documentaries, and it was a cross section of everything. I did the Flintstones, I did Grumpy Old Men, and I did
Oh,
Hard
wow.
Target. I
Wow.
did Carlito's Way and Species. Um, and so over a period of 2 or 3 years, I did a ton of these behind the scenes documentaries, and it was kind of a way of also even though they were effectively documentaries, it was also a way of observing how other directors worked. And what I realized was everybody had a different approach. And like a student, I sort of cherry picked. Oh, I like how he's talking to his actors. I like how he's working with the cinematographer. I understand that I don't, it doesn't speak to me. And ultimately, I did a trailer for the new Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. You know what it was? I had done Hard Target, the making of Hard Target, which was produced by Renaissance. So Rob Tapert and Sam Raimi were the executive producers of Hard Target. They brought John Woo sort of out of Hong Kong action to make his first American film with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And so I was a big John Woo fan, and I had seen all his films, and so I made this very exciting sort of portrait of him in the movie. And Rob Tapert said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing a trailer from the first Hercules TV movie that they were making?" I think it was the Hercules and the Amazons, or I can't remember what the first one was. But they said they were shooting it, and they were gonna be at a convention, and they wanted to basically tease the audience that this thing was coming to television. So I took a bunch of dailies and cut this, hyperbolic, operatic, trailer for Hercules. They like that, and as so often happens in Hollywood, it's a very random. Like, oh, so you did good with that. So I see that you directed. I had already directed a low budget feature prior in the middle of all this, and they said, "Would you like to come and do second unit on the Hercules TV movies, meaning the action unit stuff? Would you be interested in that? Because obviously you understand action, you know how to cut it. Would you?" And that's how I got into that, and that led to the Xena pilot, and sort of it kind of went from there. So it was a very strange sort of sequence of events, which I think is pretty typical for most people. No matter how strategic you are in your planning, there is this random component that plays a big part in how, whether you do anything or you get any opportunities or what have you. So anyway, very long-winded answer to your question, but that's
Wow.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's excellent. It's exactly what, we thrive on that here on our show. We enjoy all that. As a matter of fact, I bring this up all the time, and since we're kind of in that wheelhouse of studying, I went back to film school just recently, finishing up business and entertainment at NYU Tisch.
Oh, right
It's a
on.
certificate program.
Right.
And so we've dabbled in, as indie filmmakers, and so I've had the experience now, going to community college and
Hmm.
studying the film program in their film program here in New York City. And I'm with 18 and 19 year olds, but I know
Right.
that you are teaching. You're still teaching. You're
I am.
actively a professor of film studies and
Yeah.
directing, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I am. And I'm teaching at community college right now up here in Portland. The college that I teach at most right now is Portland Community College, which has a great multimedia film program. Um, and yeah, I teach directing, independent producing. I
Wow.
just finished a class we have a VFX class. And because of, to your point, the number of sort of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy, I've done my fair amount of visual effects films. And so I teach a class in that. And yeah, I've been teaching since sort of concurrently since 2009. That's really when I got the opportunity to start teaching. I'd always wanted to teach, but I didn't know same thing. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I figured I had to be retired before I could start teaching. And then a series, again, it's sort of random. Actually, this crazy movie, Megashark versus Giant Octopus, believe it or not, had made such a
Love it.
noise. Oh, well, that film had made such a noise, sort of just in terms of sort of in the zeitgeist, that my application to teach at USC sort of rose to the top of the pile all of a sudden. and I got a chance to start teaching at USC, which oddly enough, I didn't even get accepted to. I remember I applied to USC when I was a student, and I got put on a wait list. NYU was my second choice. As it turned out, NYU was actually a better choice because they were much more about go make movies, and USC is actually extremely political in terms of like who gets to make a film and so forth, which I don't agree with. I don't really agree with that way of doing it. But yeah, again, it was like I made that movie completely out of desperation. Like I had in 2009, was all set to make a film that I was dying to make, that I was like a year and a half in prep with a bunch of producers, and I put everything aside trying to get this film made. And I had got the green light, and I was going to make it, and I was going to get out of debt. My wife and I were going to get our health insurance back, like we didn't have health insurance. And then the movie, like a lot of movies, just went belly up. The company exploded. Wow. And they called me one day and said, "Hey, sorry, there's no movie." And so I was like, "Oh my God, I don't know, I gotta pay the rent. What am I gonna do?" And I called up the Asylum, and they were like, "Yeah, we got something. Can you do like a giant shark versus squid thing? Can you write that in about 2 weeks? We need that." And I was like, "Yes, yes, can I do that?" And they said, "You can shoot that in 12 days, right?" I'm like, "Yes, yes." And so I just, but like as you were saying earlier, because of not just my love of King Kong, but then concurrently was all the Toho Godzilla pictures, everything from War of the Gargantuas to every Godzilla movie you ever heard of from the 60s through the 70s. That was a big part of my formative upbringing in film. So all those movies were just there. So that was easily transferable to this assignment of having to write a giant, two giant behemoths fighting each other. So I don't know how we got onto that track, but I'm sorry, but that's really what led to teaching. It was like this thing that I didn't even, expect to do, just out of nowhere, made a little bit of noise, and students knew about it. So the USC people were like, "Oh, they know about your crazy movie. Come teach the production class." It was like that. So I started teaching in 2009. Fortunately, I've been able to continue teaching at various universities over the years. I love it. It's always been my sort of second language, to teach. So,
Well, that's pretty cool. So
yeah.
then I have to follow it up with now knowing, where you stand on it. One of the things that we love to bring that up with our guests on the show, that just putting that out. The other thing is that I encountered a lot of younger people, 18, 19, a few 20-year-olds that were experiencing, second thoughts about going to any kind of, training. They felt that, they're from this generation that everything's on YouTube
Mhm.
and, camera in hand. Why am I in this program?
Right.
I really don't need this. I think I'm better off investing that tuition money and trying to make something. And I know there's a place for that, right? Trial and error is great. I am a proponent of learning from those that have done, those that are experienced, those that know what they're doing. Learning from somebody like yourself
Right.
is counts. It has weight. It's all proportionate, right? There's a place for it. I don't know that it's the end all, but there is a place for learning how to, create a film, how to write a script, how to do
Right.
it correctly, and I found that, a lot of quote fellow classmates were like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go PA and work my way in. I'm not doing this anymore." And I was like, "Well, there's something to be said for that too." But I
Sure.
want to hear your
Well,
thoughts.
I mean, when I went to school in the way back in the early 80s, when I went to NYU, that had been, film schools had been around, but not that long. And that was considered like that was the serious path. If you were serious about filmmaking, then you went to film school to learn, to your point, a technique. And again, we're talking about a period where we're still shooting on film, where cameras even 16 millimeter cameras were not readily available to just the, the hobbyist. So in a way, it was like if you wanted to, you couldn't dabble without an enormous expenditure. You had to go to film school in order to get your hands on the kind of equipment um, to make film, in a professional way. Today is different, obviously, with the sort of democratization of technology and editing software and cameras being available. You can shoot on your phone and project that on the, at Grauman's Chinese Theater. That image will hold up resolution-wise, right? And it's a different time now because generations now, younger generations are growing up with basically a movie camera in their hands, and editing software is a language that you learn like Word now. It's like typing. It's not something that you had to go to film school to learn how to edit. But that said, even though that's the case, and there's more of a natural just given the practice, if you're a kid playing with shooting and cutting, then by the time you're 19 or 20, your language skills, at least intuitive language skills, will be at a higher level of development than say somebody my age in the early 80s, just because you just haven't had the trigger time. But beyond that, beyond your intuitive ability to say you've seen a million movies and you have a sense of how to shoot and cut, there's a lot more to it than just knowing how to shoot and cut. I mean, there are all kinds of philosophies upon why you shoot something a certain way, and why you use a wide shot over a close-up, and why you move the camera, and what governs these creative choices, and how other filmmakers have sort of elevated the language by demonstrating that this kind of shot in this kind of moment creates this kind of effect. And I think film school, depending on the teacher that you get, I try to be the teacher. I try to be the teacher I wish I had when I was a student. Not that I didn't have good teachers, but a lot of the things that I bring as a teacher come through the 3 decades of filmmaking that as a professional, I've created, I've learned, I continue to learn through doing, and I can bring that into the classroom and explain, hopefully clearly, why that there's a reasoning behind why you do certain things, to best dramatize whatever story that you're telling. And I do this through examples of other filmmakers, and almost like putting it under a magnifying glass and really breaking down why a scene is effective, and breaking it down into its kind of component parts, because that's all a movie is this individual choices, individual shots, architecturally arranged to create this effect of a whole, but it's still individual choices. And if you can kind of understand why each choice was made, then you're in a better position to sort of express yourself. That's not to say some people can do this completely intuitively, and never think consciously about what they're doing. Other people like myself, I think, needed to be introduced to these ideas, and that informs how I ultimately work. I still feel like I mean, when I go out and do something now, I'm not sitting there consciously going, I'm going to track from left to right because I'm not thinking, I'm not left brain thinking about it. It still feels intuitive, but it's now informed by my education. And I think that's the best kind of teaching, is that you sort of consume these ideas, and hopefully that becomes integrated into your sort of DNA, so that when you're making your work, it's just part of what's informing it. So the real problem is the expense. I mean, the expense I think is probably the bigger deal, which is, and I think people are now weighing that. Do I spend these many thousands of dollars on instruction, or do I put those many thousands of dollars into my own movie? I guess it depends on at what level you're at as a filmmaker, because what you don't want to do is gamble all that money if you're not ready yet, in some ways. Not that it can't be a learning experience, But you sort of like when you make at least when you make a feature or an elaborate short, you want to be as sort of tuned up. It's like in shapes, like running a marathon. Like, did I run the half marathon? Probably should if I'm going to run the whole marathon. Uh,
Agreed.
that would help. I could get lucky and just do it. But there's a certain building up prep for it. And I think education in whatever form doesn't even have to be formal education. I think it could be like, say
Mhm.
a lot of people don't have the money to go to school. Say you have this money, but rather than blow it all on a first movie your very first movie on a feature, maybe it's better to take a little bit of that money and try a few shorts and experiment and mess up. And so that the consequences are not that, so that you learn so that when you come back the next time, you're in a better place so that you can, okay, I'm not going to make that mistake. I made that mistake on this little thing. Now on the bigger thing, I know a little bit more of what to do. But the truth of the matter is that, and it sounds like a cliche, but you never stop learning uh, about the medium that you're working, no matter how long you've been doing it. I remember there's a story. It's one of my favorite stories where David Lean, the great David Lean, director of Lawrence of Arabia, was like being interviewed before he made his last movie. His last movie was going to be a movie called Nostromo, which was a adaptation of a Joseph Conrad uh, novel. Um, I guess he was in his 80s. I can't remember. He was an old man, but he hadn't made a movie since I think Passage to India or something. And he was interviewed, and they asked him, Sir David, are you excited about finally getting back in the director's chair and helming a movie again? And he said, and he was a very erudite, English gentleman, but basically he said, yes, I am very excited because I feel like I'm just now starting to figure this filmmaking thing out,
Hmm.
is what he said. And this is somebody that Stanley Kubrick looked to as, the master. Like people looked at David Lean like, well, he must know everything. And the first thing he said was, I just feel like now at the end of my life, this is starting to like come together. Um, so I really like that because I think that's a very true statement that you never really have it entirely figured out, which is good actually in a way, you know.
Well,
Um,
Jack, you talked about, we were, just throwing around these concepts, and we've mentioned how people start out, making first films, learning from experiences. I picked up on something when I was doing some of my research, and groundbreaking found footage field ahead of its time. Feature film called America's Deadliest Home Video in 1991.
right.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, that was actually uh, right before I did the work for on Hercules. Um, and again, I came out to LA not necessarily to work in television, although I was very happy to work on those shows. That was a great introduction. It got me into the Directors Guild. I got to work with, a big budget and toys and all the things that I dreamed of as a kid to work with. But I wanted to be a feature filmmaker, but no one's going to give you a feature film uh, just because you show up and you have a great idea. It's like it just doesn't work that way. And what happened is that while I was in LA and I was still trying to find my footing, even before I even started to do these behind the scenes documentaries, I met a guy who he was from Wisconsin. He was from Racine, Wisconsin. He was an actor, and he was getting small parts, but he wasn't really getting much luck. Basically, he said, "Look, let's just do our own thing." Uh, he said, I have credit cards. I'm gonna pay. I can put, I can make a movie for $10,000 on credit cards. I'll pay for it." He goes, "I
Wow.
can't pay you to write and direct it, but I will pay for the movie if you can write and direct a movie that has, at the time, direct to video. Again, this is, I guess we made it in 1990. You could sell an independent movie to the video stores if they were basically titillating enough, if there was enough graphic violence, if there was enough nudity, and basically the exploitation prerequisites. If you had enough of those things, he said, if you can write a story with a great big part for me in it as a leading part, then I'll basically produce this movie on credit cards, and we'll shoot it all in Wisconsin because it's cheap and everybody thinks, everyone will give us everything for free. And my dad used to be the sheriff of the town, and we'll be able to blow stuff up, and it'll be the best way to make the movie. Let's stretch the dollar. But the caveat was that it had to be shot on video. Now this is 1990, so this is not 24 frames per. This is not what most people consider digital video, which looks like film pretty much today. This is something that looked like like a soap opera, like news. It just didn't have a cinematic quality, 30 frames per second consumer video, even though a lot of SOV, shot on video horror films were doing exactly that thing. But I just come out of film school and I was like, ew, I don't want to shoot this thing on video. What am I going to do? It's going to look like porn, So anyway, long story short is I conceived of a story that would hopefully use the limitations of the technology to its advantage. And I sort of conceived of a movie that was shot entirely from the point of view of the protagonist's camcorder. The idea that there was a character who was this is before vlogs even existed, but somebody who would videotape, journal his life, and was like a lunatic who filmed everything in his life, but then ultimately accidentally filmed some criminals ditching a getaway car, and that criminal, leader of this gang, is an egomaniac and recruits this guy to essentially videotape their crime spree across the country. So essentially it was a crime thriller from this very sort of specific perspective, which meant that you couldn't shoot it traditionally. You couldn't break it down into any kind of classical coverage or anything because it was meant to be captured. So I had to design the movie to look as if it was found. And this is really pre, what would ultimately become the found footage genre. It's pre Blair Witch. It's pre a lot of movies that sort of became very commercial and made people aware of it. But this was earlier. And anyway, it was a way of solving, it was that classic, like, necessity is the mother of invention. I didn't have the ability to, if I had film, I probably would have made an entirely different movie, clearly. But because I was saddled with this, well, you got to shoot it on video. I crafted this story that made a little noise. I mean, at the time, it made a little noise. There was a magazine called Film Threat that Chris Gore was the editor of, that was a big champion of that movie, and Mike Gingold at Fangoria also was a big supporter of the movie. So it kind of like it was basically my first marathon, right? It was my first feature, and it was novel enough so that it had a little bit of something on it. It didn't like knock down the doors. No one was throwing any big movies at me. But I had sort of crossed that bridge so that when I was making my next film, it wasn't, I wasn't a virgin anymore. I had already done it. And now looking back, some people very kindly have pointed out that it was a predecessor to a lot of films that came later. That's right. And Joe Bob Briggs was actually another big supporter. I think he gave us the best film at one point. So, yeah, I'm proud of the movie. I saw it at a festival not too long ago. I guess it was the 25th anniversary or something like that, not too long ago. And I watched it and I was kind of like, this isn't bad. Most directors have trouble watching their own stuff, and I'm the same. But what I saw in it, what I liked about it was that it was kind of fearless, that only a young person has that sort of quality. And I kind of looked at it now as an older guy, and I was like, shit, where'd that guy go that didn't, like, it was just willing to, like, I kind of took some inspiration because I'm making a film right now, very low budget, almost in the same manner that we made this movie. And I'm trying to sort of recapture that spirit, and doing it almost in the same way that I did my very first movie. So, Yeah. So anyway, that's America's Deadliest Home Video.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So you're in production or you're in
Yeah,
pre-production?
yeah, we're in production. It's a weird thing because, as you know, most movies are, no matter how short the schedule is, you basically go into prep and then you start and then you shoot and then it's over. And in the case of this movie, and because I'm just basically cobbling it together as we go, and because my actor friends and technician friends are sort of donating their time, we've been doing it in chunks. So I've shot like three chunks of it. Last October we started,
Oh,
and so I've done like three chunks over this last year, and I have about an hour of edited movie. I'm cutting it myself done, and I still need to shoot like the last 30 minutes of it. So that hopefully I was thinking about doing it now in the summer, but the summer it has a lot of exterior, there's a lot of exterior left. And summer is just, no matter where you are, it's unpleasant, to shoot in the heat. And it's kind of set in the fall. So
mm,
I think might have to be patient and wait till September, but it's mostly done. It's like
mostly done.
two
What is
thirds.
the genre?
It's a crime thriller.
Oh,
It's a crime thriller. I mean, effectively, it's a noir. I would say
oh, excellent.
that outside of sci-fi horror fantasy, um, the noir is sort of my favorite genre to work in because it's very rich visually, or at least it has the potential to be very rich visually and atmospheric, which I love. Um, but it also manages to be character centric as opposed to um, set piece or effects or even plot centric. And I like um, I like genre, but I also like to get into character, and so I'm focusing on that. So it's definitely character driven, but it's a noir for sure.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been exciting. It's been very happy. It's been a very happy experience to kind of return to that kind of ultra low budget. I almost made it a challenge to myself. I said, look, because every filmmaker complains that when they're not making a movie, how come I'm not making another movie, blah blah. And my wife is just like, just make it, make something. And I kind of said, well, what if with the meagerest of resources, could I actually do something? Which is what you'd start with, when you're young, or when you have no money, you're like, what can I do with what I have? And so I proceeded along those lines, like let's try to make something that works, that can be fully realized with whatever little I have on hand. I think the only benefit I have now is just the years of as Indiana Jones says, I have the mileage. So like I can apply what I know to situations where there aren't that many resources, where maybe as a 20-year-old I wouldn't know exactly how best to do that. But we'll see. It's been a happy experience, so far.
Well, production value is obviously going to be way more than, right? When you start tapping into friends and, all of them that are in the business, never mind your background and what you bring to it. So I'm sure that the end product is going to be something way beyond what you're envisioning now. However, is this going to film festivals? And
Yeah,
if
I think so. I mean, it's funny. It's like that would be the normal course, like I've pretty much my filmography is kind of cut in half in terms of half of them have been sort of commissioned studio or TV or made for television films. A network or a studio has hired me to do something, write, direct, or whatever. And then the other half are films that were self-initiated with absolutely no idea where they're going to wind up. And so then the next natural step is the festival thing, and then you see what happens. But I'm really at the point now where the making of the thing is the thing. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of like I want to see this through because I want to see it, and where it winds up or where it lands is sort of, yeah, of course you want it to be seen, but it's like I'm more interested in just making it. That's the drive. Whereas perhaps, earlier in my career it was like, well, this movie's got to get into this festival and this is going to make this amount of noise and that's going to help me get the next movie. And I think everybody, you know, wants the whole, wants their film to make, to be seen. But at this point, I'm just very interested in making it, and then we'll see what shakes out.
Well, I'm sure there's no question in my mind, one way or the other, it's going to end up streaming. But before it gets to streaming, do you think, are you looking to do maybe a limited theatrical release, or that's not
Oh, I
what
don't
you're really focused
know.
on?
It's like as long as I've been in the business, I don't know what. I mean, look, that's like what gets released theatrically these days is like, you know, who knows? Yeah, I mean, anything. I guess anything is possible. I'm just not. It's always an unknown. It's like it's that unknown. I mean, are you kidding me? If somebody was like, "Yeah, let's release this in a few theaters," or maybe there's a way of four-walling it or something that would make sense. I'll certainly screen it theatrically. I'll find a way to do that. I think it would
Cool.
be nice to see it projected for sure. Even the thing I just finished, I think I sent you guys the trailer for the documentary I did.
Yeah.
The
Chris,
Sinister.
were you able to cue that up? If you
I do not have it.
Oh, it's okay. I was just saying that, it's been nice screening that. Um, it's been nice screening
Which
that
one is it?
theatrically at a few places, uh, and it is a different experience, obviously. I mean, seeing something at home versus seeing it in a theater is a different experience. But yeah, yeah, we'll see. It's different. Like I said, my sort of attitude has changed a little bit in that I try not to think too much about distribution when I'm making the thing. And maybe that's always been the case. I don't know if I thought about it too much, but it definitely rears its head. If you're an independent filmmaker, what's going to happen to it rears its head at one point or another. You finished it, and now you're like, okay, now what? Right? You know, that's the world. Um, but yeah, this documentary was great because I mean, great for me to do. I don't know. Do you guys know about Sinister Cinema? Do you guys know about the?
No, I don't. I know
There's a
Chris is a big fan of the quote B movie
yeah.
bigger than I am, but I've seen my fair share, but this is pretty
Well,
cool. And
well,
I've seen some of these.
I'm sure you have. I mean, any lover, because if sci-fi, horror, and fantasy is basically their catalog fundamentally, and Sinister Cinema is the oldest video distributor almost in the country. They've been around from the beginning. And the reason I know about them is when I was a student at NYU, I had a friend of mine who was really into obscure, hard to find genre stuff. Or if you'd heard about a film, again, we're old enough to know, like, even before VHS, when VHS kind of came along, not everything was on VHS. A lot of stuff was very hard to find. And Sinister Cinema seemed to have like all of these titles, plus titles that you just never heard of. And they had this beautiful catalog that they would send out. You would order from their catalog with all of these reduced one sheets um, of all of these crazy thousands of these genre titles. And you were like, what the hell is this movie? Like, I never heard of this before in my life. And anyway, when I moved to Portland a few years ago, during the pandemic, there was nothing going on, and I got another one of these catalogs in the mail. I was like, shit, that I'm just happy to have the catalog. And I looked at the back and I realized that the distributor, that this company had always been in Oregon. They were always in Oregon. They were in Medford, Oregon, which is a couple hours from here. And so I just kind of like, I just called him up. I just called up and I said, look, I've been a fan my whole life. I can't believe you guys are still doing this. You're still releasing these crazy movies that nobody's ever heard of. Has anybody ever done a documentary on you guys, because as far as I know, they haven't. And I talked to the guy. His name is Greg Luce, and Greg Luce still runs the company. It's still him and like just a couple people, his daughter and another kind of key employee. And he's been running it this long. He's still doing it right now, still releasing movies. And he said, yeah, that would be, that would be fun. And so I just went, I interviewed him, and that sort of formed the spine of this. What it really allowed me to do was delve into a distribution catalog of thousands of the weirdest and mostly unknown genre sci-fi, horror, and fantasy films.
Cool.
And then it became kind of an archaeological exercise to just extract, the best 10 seconds of all of these things and find a way to, assemble them, hopefully in a way that was exciting, but also at the same time, sort of this guy, Greg, sort of told his story of how he was a sci-fi horror nerd as a kid, and how he kind of moved into this world of distribution and really being sort of a curator of all of these incredible titles. Yeah, it was a really fun experience to kind of make this sort of portrait. Really what it is a portrait of this one super nerd like us who basically dedicated his whole life to releasing these films. Yeah, it's really about him, his energy. You can tell, it's like, again, it's like Freaks. It's like one of us, you got, when the guy talks, it's like, he's one of us. He's a hardcore, he's a hardcore sci-fi horror fantasy nerd. And that's why he does what he does. So I relate to that, obviously,
Jack, where can we see the documentary is doing the festival circuit?
Yeah, it did the Portland Horror Film Festival, and it did a few others. And actually now it's there's a Blu-ray distributor, TerrorVision, that I've done a lot of editorial work for, doing, funny enough, editing a lot of their behind the scenes. The TerrorVision does kind of this is sort of like a Criterion version for genre films, a label for genre films. They're going to release it later this year, along with some remastered titles of Greg's. But you can actually get it, if I don't know if anybody still has a DVD player. You can actually get it on DVD through Sinister Cinema right now. Yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. But again, that was another sort of interesting exercise for me to kind of come back to something that was always there as a young filmmaker, this company and this catalog, and sort of jump in and examine it.
That's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I've had that experience of the paper catalog not too long ago, just a few years ago, and there was this guy named, it's Marco Enterprises in Southern California, that used to make all of these sci-fi, movie related, unofficial, phasers, Star Trek, whatever. And today they're collectibles. They're really big collectibles. I was able to get one of the last paper catalogs that he came out with before he passed. And I also managed to grab, I bought a couple of pieces,
Oh, cool.
and I have those. And I remember as a kid, it was like, oh yeah, who's this Marco guy, And
Right.
as a kid, I'd gotten a catalog. I was like, oh, what is this? You don't know what this is.
Right.
You're gonna send the guy how much money? He's never gonna send you anything.
Right.
And then and then you find out. I went to a comic book shop, and I know the owner, and he started talking to me, and I was like, oh yeah, Mark, that looks like what? And so we got into it, and it was like a little bit of nostalgia, right? The whole geek thing, and you go back and you're like, oh yeah, and I gave it to the actual catalog. I made copies of it, and I gave it to my friend at the comic book shop, and he was beside himself because you don't see those catalogs.
That's right.
That are
Well,
unknown.
that's right. Well, again, it's like, people of a certain generation,
Yeah.
grow up. Even, you remember like the toy catalog when you're a kid, like
Sure.
toy catalogs for Christmas, like Sears, where you would just,
Yeah.
and there was something about that, those paper catalogs with those images and this, what exactly what you're talking about, whether, it's collectibles or props or toys. And certainly with Sinister Cinema, what made that catalog so rich was, like I said, it was just, I mean, what it is now is it's a website, right? And in a way, I appealed to Greg. I said, any way you ever going to go back to printing the paper? And actually, that's a part of the documentary. I talk about how he would like hand paginate, like he would, create this catalog by hand because he was reducing the artwork down to like postage stamps, and he was like, and he was writing all the synopses. And that was the other thing that was so cool about these catalogs, because it was very simple. It was like a poster and then like almost like a TV guide synopsis that he would write. And again, it would be these plot lines for these movies that you just couldn't believe they even existed. And in a way, it was better. You almost didn't need to see the movie, because what your brain did with this information was in a way much bigger and better than anything that the movie could possibly deliver. So the catalog was almost like the thing. Like I almost didn't need the catalog was its own sort of experience. So yeah, I miss those. In fact, I think if you go on eBay or something, I think people sell like the Sinister Cinema catalog just so that you can have that experience of the catalog.
So cool.
It is super cool, and it's great to kind of, it's great, if you stay just as you are now, if part of your life is still very much connected to what inspired you in the beginning, and and that's still very much a part of your life, then it makes sense that if you can, reconnect and in a way connect now to somebody who's like an actual person as opposed to an idea. Again, the Sinister Cinema catalog was just a catalog until I made that phone call a few years ago. I didn't know who the guy was, and I didn't know what his story was. And it's great to sort of, make those connections. Same thing happens as a director. I've had a few experiences where, people that I admired as actors, I end up working with, and that is a really amazing. Something I'm very grateful for, where when that intersection happens, because it's like stepping into your own fantasy in a way. It doesn't make any sense. Like somebody you only know as this image from films that mean a lot to you, suddenly you're working with them, is a very odd. That happened with Adam West.
Yeah.
It happened with Karen Black. There were certain people that just, I couldn't believe that I was actually, became friends with these people. So it's cool when you can sort of cross where it kind of advances. And like you were saying with like Marco, it's like that weird thing becomes dimensional almost or something.
Well, we there's a few questions that we always ask our guests. One of them is, do you do conventions?
Funny enough, I don't. I know plenty of people who do, but I've never really been asked. I mean, I've gone to conventions, but I don't do many panels or anything like that, simply because I almost feel like conventions are its own industry in a way, and maybe I just never, found the in. Like one of my oldest friends, and he's in the movie I'm making now, is Barry Bostwick. I don't know if you know Barry, but Barry Bostwick, the actor, is and you'd know him from, as Brad in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but everything you ever
Oh
heard
yeah.
of, every whether it's that or whether it's Spin City or whether it's Megaforce,
Jeez, yeah, of
Ace Hunter.
course.
So Barry was in Some Guy Who Kills People. I was very fortunate to cast him in that movie, and he was wonderful. And then we became very close, and I cast him in the crazy Sci-Fi Channel original called Blast Vegas, which is basically like an old Irwin Allen disaster movie. He's in that, and I put him in whatever I can. And I cast him in this. I wrote a part for him for this thing I'm making now. What was my point? But he's part of this circuit convention
Yep.
circuit, and almost there's a whole he talks about it like it's its own industry. He has his own manager for that, and his own, the whole thing is very it's his own industry in a way. So anyway, I'm sorry, the short answer is I go to them, but I do many panels.
Not yet.
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Not yet.
You're out on the West Coast, but so you are open. So for those of you that are listening out there, including Shore Leave,
Yeah.
there's a great guest waiting to be called upon and flown out to a convention. So there you
Oh yeah,
go.
no, I would be happy to. I mean, I always enjoy going and listening to panels and so yeah, I'd enjoy doing any of them if they'd have me. So sure.
Okay. So our next question is, uh, have you written a book on the shortcuts of directing or your memoir or anything like that, or is there possibility of?
Yes, for sure. It's funny. I've been thinking about a book for a long, long time, and I've made about 1 million notes on that. And I think it would be, I think, a lot of filmmakers, directors write books on their experiences. And
Mhm.
actually, I never tire of reading them. And I probably read them all. I found an obscure one sitting on my desk right here that I just got on that is a biography of John Sturges, who did
Mhm.
The Great Escape and The Magnificent Seven and Bad Day at Black Rock. And I just, I never tire of listening to director commentaries or reading biographical or even better autobiographical accounts of their experiences because it's an extension of my education as a filmmaker. And but I think the book would be a combination of, you know, the craziest probably experiences I've had anecdotally that I think would be fun for the reader, but also if I can find a way of wedding that with how I teach, to your point about, what I think are key things, at least for me, in directing a film. I think that would be the best.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question that in my mind right away, I was like, oh, there's got to be this one and that one. And I
Yeah,
could see where you would definitely fit in, be able to fit all that into various specific,
yeah,
like a book on directing your style, a book on your experiences, the film. I could see it. So you're the type. We wish you the best.
oh, thank
And
you. Well, I think
no,
you got to give me. I think you're giving me as with all writing, it's like you pretty much put it off as long as you can, and until I was saying this the other day to a friend of mine. It's like there's nothing like a deadline. Like when somebody puts a gun to your head and says, "You
Oh
got to
yeah.
have it, you got to have it done in 2 weeks." Well, then you're right. I mean, it's funny when I've written for hire. Uh, and sometimes when I've written for hire, it's the same thing. It's like there's usually a deadline, and I will put off, I'll see that deadline looming, like coming up, and I start to do the math in my head about how many pages a day do I need to write
Mm.
in order to, and of course, the longer you wait, the more pages you have to generate per day. But I usually put it right up into that point where it's like, well, you better start. You got to get at least 6 or 7 pages today, to kind of get there. Um, so yeah, no, it's funny you bring that up because I've been meaning to do it, and I probably should get on that. So
Yeah. If you don't, the thing is like I always tell people, if you don't write it down, if you don't put it on paper, if you don't put it into a movie, if you don't put it on something, it goes away with you.
you're right.
Because
Yeah,
memories fade. I mean, you could have told
yeah.
this story to someone, and that memory will fade, and eventually, unless somebody remembers it, and like the caveman days, we talk and do the stories over at the across the fire pit,
right.
and maybe they carry on, but sometimes you play the telephone game, that story could get way
Morph.
whacked out of
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be. Whereas if you have it written down, if you have it videoed, you have it audioed, whatever it may be, it's set in stone. It doesn't change at that point, and it reflects on something that you've given or you can give even past your
Yep.
lifespan.
Yeah, well, I think that's a beautiful way of putting it. It's like, and that's why I enjoy just sitting down and talking with you guys like this because in a way, even in this
Yep.
kind of conversation, it's a way of archiving
Exactly.
ideas. And Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, no, that's it's a very eloquent way of putting it. And in a way, it is a way of sort of continuing to teach well past
beyond.
your
Yeah.
ability to teach. So yeah, I think that's probably
And yeah,
yeah.
I think I was watching your one of your videos in teaching, and some of the things you say in there are just amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
really
very
Yeah,
kind.
cool.
they're very very good. How you as a kid you were in that universe,
Yeah,
you were playing cars, you were doing whatever it may
it's
be.
all
It's
there. It
all there.
lives there. Yeah,
You were living in that moment. Whereas
yeah,
as we got older, it became harder to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then now, as a film person or a film director or a writer or whatever else, you try to recreate those same things that you had as a kid, those same the imagination that you had as a kid. I believe is faded for me at least, and
Hmm.
the ability is faded for me. And if I could only recapture that, it was
I
so
think
fantastic.
well, I appreciate that. That's very kind. I mean, I do feel that way. It's like I think there have been various points, like I was saying earlier when I watched, a screening of my first film when I was like, where did that guy go? What happened to that? What happened to
What
that?
was I
And
thinking? How did I
yeah,
get
and
there?
I think it's the going back to what I was saying earlier about you were saying, that I didn't sort of sugarcoat, my first year in Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood in general, is a pretty brutal place.
Hmm.
It's just it's there's a lot of like things. There's a lot of it's the classic. That's why they say the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. It says there's a lot of heartache in that thing in that process. Elective, because that's nobody's
Yep.
making you do
Yep.
this
Nobody's
thing.
forcing it. Yeah.
Um, but with each sort of and life is like this in general, whether you're in the movie industry or not. You just get beat up, right? So I've always thought like, wow, wouldn't that be great to just be able to, like just wipe your memory. I mean, it's ridiculous, but like wipe yourself of those sort of horrors so that you could sort of go back to that point of innocence that
Selective
enabled you to be
amnesia.
so free and expressive without any of the, one of the things that constantly has come up over the years, and at least in my experience later, is that you're constantly thinking about you're carrying the baggage of other disappointments, so you start to put that into the equation. Well, this probably
Ooh,
won't happen,
good.
or
Good way to put
we
that.
might get close, but then it's going to blow up, or this person's going to the money's going to pull out, or all the things um, that happen to every filmmaker, but they haven't happened when you're yet,
Right. Yeah.
when
You
you're
haven't learned
young.
those lessons.
Yeah, and in a way, you're empowered by not having had those experiences. Uh,
The great
and so,
obliviousness of that
yes, yes.
young.
So,
Yeah.
so in a way, it's kind of like, I mean, in a way, it's sort of what I've been trying to do with this movie is to sort of put myself maybe back in that situation um, where I was when I was that age to see, what it would yield. And Yeah, but I think fundamentally, if you're a creative person, when you're doing it, when you start doing whatever it is you're doing, whether it's writing, or podcasting or painting or
Right.
whatever you're doing, you immediately go into that zone or that lane, and I think all that other stuff falls away. And that's when you know that you're like tapping into your sort of essential your essential self, and it's a way of returning. I think just creating is a way of returning to that place
Ah,
you know
definitely.
um so I think that's why all filmmakers again are like heroin addicts. They're just like you just want to go jump back into that high because
Let
that's
me get some more of
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Jack, one of our other favorite questions is if you could pick any franchise to actually jump in
Ooh,
and direct, which would it be?
wow. Wow, that's actually a tough question. Franchise. You know
And
what? The funny thing about it is that, and there isn't a lot, truthfully, there isn't a lot of recent films. And when I say recent, I mean like in the last like 15, 20 years where I've been like, this is amazing and this is better than anything or at the same level or better than the stuff that inspired me when I was a young filmmaker. So it's hard to say, I guess, in terms of franchises, what I would jump into. I mean, I guess every filmmaker is like, wow, it would be cool to do a Bond movie, maybe. You know,
Excellent. Okay, cool.
maybe that would be, but I would probably think like more now that I think about it, even though I'm sure they'll screw it all up. But I know that many times they've tried to reboot sort of like, the Universal horror, the original Universal horror
Yeah.
movies. Not that
Right.
I would ever dare try to best, you know, the original Bride of Frankenstein or Lugosi Dracula or even the Wolfman,
Man. Right.
or the
Or
Invisible
the
Man.
Mummy.
Yeah, but maybe, Creature from the Black Lagoon or something like that, something,
Ooh.
or, something wild like, out of the fit, like Them or Tarantula or something, maybe there's something in there. I remember a friend of mine once he had acquired the rights to the horror of Party Beach. You remember that one? Uh, so I think it would probably be a monster movie, rather than a franchise, or maybe if Hammer decided to,
Ah.
sort of go back and do that collection of, like Brides of Dracula or something,
Yeah.
with Peter Cushing. If there was a way of doing that, so I
Oh,
think it's more
wow.
like that starts to get my juices.
King Kong.
Nice.
King Kong.
Very cool.
One of my favorite older ones was Empire of the Ants. That scared the
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Bird-Eye
yeah.
Gordon. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like Bird-Eye Gordon, and I think there was actually a documentary that came out last year because he was a really interesting character. Empire of the Ants was like one of his last ones, but he also did Food of the Gods.
Hmm.
But he did going back to he did The Amazing Colossal Man,
Yep.
and The Spider, and he was always an inspiration as a kid because the effects were not so good, they were actually pretty poor, but still entertaining.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was kind of like inspired by that because as a kid knowing nothing, making Super 8 movies, I was like, well, I can actually get close to that. I could
Yeah, the
probably
ant. Yeah.
I can't touch Star Wars or
Yep.
Galactica, but I can touch, Empire of the Ants. I can get in there. And funny enough, I actually did a movie with like big giant ants.
Yeah.
That's the one with Adam West. Monster
Yep.
Island
Monster Island.
has its share of giant ants in it.
Very
So
cool.
I did get a chance. I shouldn't complain. I got a chance to do that. So,
That's cool.
yeah.
Well, Jack, thank you. Thank you for taking the time out. We would love to have you back
Especially
when the
next movie comes
movies.
out, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. No, I'd be
it's
happy
so
to.
cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
please.
yeah, no, anytime. I enjoy talking with you guys.
And
Yeah.
if you ever decide you're gonna do, you gotta jump into that writing stuff, we have connections.
Okay.
We know publishers that would
Oh,
be
wow.
interested. So just, please, uh, open door policy for you.
Yep.
We would definitely love to have you come back, pick your brain more, delve maybe into more of the film and your techniques, and
Sure.
talk all about this stuff like we did today. Usually it takes that first one, and then you come back, and then usually we get into it again, and.
Anytime. I mean, there's so many. I mean, the great thing about it is that you can sort of zero in on just corners of filmmaking. It's funny. There's one of the last video stores up here that exists in the country is up here in Portland called Movie Madness, and it's like it's like a great old video store. They have
Oh,
everything,
wow.
and I've started to actually they have something called Movie Madness University where they have lectures on anything. And I've started to do several lectures with them. What's great about it is that they don't keep, they want you to just go into no matter how myopic, so I have a lecture coming up specifically just on the disaster film, just on
Oh,
the
cool.
disaster film. I just did one on the
Airport
World War
stuff. Yeah.
II combat film. You know what I mean? So it's like
Oh, wow.
there's uh I'd be happy to come back and talk about any no matter how
Yeah.
specific.
Cool. Oh,
So
let's do
anytime.
it.
Yeah, for
Jack,
sure.
if you're up for it, let's do. We'll pre-program. We'll reach out, and that would be a great thing. And then we'll just advertise it here on IFB and
Yeah.
let everybody know that we're gonna have an evening and kind of delve into one of those, Plan 9 or
Oh
from
yeah,
outer
whatever.
space or
Oh,
whatever it may
well,
be. Be
yeah,
very cool,
Yeah,
man.
fun.
yeah,
All
happy
right.
to participate. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jack. We really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure, and we're looking forward to having you back.
Yep.
Yeah, 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 likewise. Yeah, it's been great. I'll
Yeah,
see you guys, all
thanks.
right? Yeah.
And I want to, from one educator to another, thank you for teaching what you know
Yes,
to other people and
Oh,
sharing that
thank you.
information. I know it's
absolutely.
sometimes it's thankless, but you make that if you make that one person, you go out there and make that one person change their ideas or make
Yep.
sure that one person does something that act on their dreams. People like yourself are one of the ones that help them do that. So it's fantastic that you teach. It's fantastic that you share your knowledge, and you don't keep it all locked in or a sandbox or anything. So thank you very
Well, a lot.
much.
That means a lot. No, thank you. Thank you.
So
All right, I'll see you guys.
we always
All
say
the best, Jack.
here's to
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Cheers.
I'll see
Cheers.
you. Bye.
Isn't that cool? That is
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
cool, right? I mean, we're talking to, Jack Perez, who's in the Directors Guild of America, the Writers Guild of America. He's done features, worked on TV, done documentaries, has a film coming out, has taught on the university level, has taught at the film academies,
Yeah.
and continues to teach. And he's obviously one of us. He's into all this stuff. He said himself, Battlestar Galactica, something that he really enjoyed when it was the classic, of course. We didn't get into too much of that, but we will when he comes back. It's cool, and we were able to get you the update from Shore Leave in terms of where we're at. And so you guys know we'll be there all 3 days. We have the table, and of course, R.D. Moreno, award-winning sci-fi author who's actually filled in for me as a guest host on IFB, is going to be there with his own table, so he'll have his books to sign. Looking forward to seeing him. He's going to be coming to the panel, and oh, and then of course, let's not forget that Jack Stauffer, we were able to make that happen. So virtual guest, he will be there. We will also have pre-signed 8 by 10s, a very limited number. If any of you don't have his autograph, we're gonna have autographed 8 by 10s of Jack, and so you'll be able to
And
speak to him.
the jacket.
He'll be right. They're gonna pipe him in virtually, and so live you'll be able to talk to him.
Yep.
Uh, we're helping with that, right? Right, Chris?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we
And
also have the jacket.
we have the jacket. So Jack Stauffer's original jacket that he wore was made for him in The Second Coming, Richard Hatch's Battlestar Galactica fan film. He's letting go. Jack's letting go of the jacket, and we are going to be auctioning that off for Jack. And so the auction is starting at 350 increments of 10. So the next bid would be 360. If anybody's interested, we're gonna put it up. We're gonna have it with us at Shore Leaf so everybody can see it. It's been there's a little bit of a repair that had to be done to
Yeah.
it inside the lining. It's already autographed on the outside of it. We'll
Yep.
take pictures and the like, so that'll be up on our
Right
on IFB webpage.
there.
Um, I know that. Oh, yeah, it's behind you, right? Yeah, there it
Yeah.
is. There it is. That's it. That's
Yep.
it. Yep. And so that's a big part of, the bigger picture of what we're working on, what we're doing. We're trying to, promote all of that, as well as, of course, we're giving back, Chris, by, showing and sharing the Stranded Warrior, right?
Mhm.
It was a labor of love. It was a showcase of Battlestar fans, what they're capable of. We competed and beat out, in some cases, Star Trek fan films, Star Wars fan films, superhero fan films,
Yep.
all different other types of fan films. We actually beat out some of them. We showed that there is a life for Battlestar in one form or another. and we're very proud of that. So that's something we'll be sharing at Shore Leave. We're looking forward to that. I know that some of the actors, Chris, of our beloved classic Battlestar Galactica are actually attending other conventions.
Yeah, we lost a. If you were gonna, I was gonna go to the Roanoke one, and I guess Dirk Benedict bowed out. So
Oh yeah, that's too bad.
But
We
not
do
sure
have
about Lorette though. They really just said that one of them was not going to show, so I'm not sure both of them are not going to show.
Oh wow.
But yeah, if you can get out to a con, I think he was just at West.
He was out at was he
Can't remember the name of the
in
con.
one of the yeah, he did a couple of them. He did a couple, and so I know that Noah Hathaway is going to be at a convention.
Yep.
So we'll talk with Erica, and we'll discuss, where some of these actors will be. I wanted to also quickly mention that I saw the Mandalorian movie yesterday. I thought it was great. I
You
really
said it was too
enjoyed it.
long.
No, no. What I said was, if I had any critique, it would be I was kind of hoping. I thought it could have been just a little shorter, but barring that, I thought it was a great movie. Really enjoyed it. I know that there's been a lot of talk back and forth. I unfortunately heard today about Stargate.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
Stargate
mentioned that
is
earlier. Yeah,
it's yeah, unfortunately not
dead again.
happening. I'm really disappointed. I was looking forward to them rebooting the franchise. Looks like it's not happening. Who knows? Hopefully, it'll come back, and it'll come back. I
Yeah,
guess it
it,
did just
we
like
feel the
Battlestar.
same. Yeah, Stargate fans, we know how you feel.
Absolutely, absolutely, we do.
We do.
So, there was I don't know. There were a couple of other things that
You don't have the tie with
unfortunately.
you, evidently. So
No, I have a Battlestar Galactica custom made tie that I stumbled on. I will have it to show you guys next episode. We will be also, Chris, there were questions whether or not we're going to be broadcasting the Thursday before shore leave, and
oh, of
the
course,
answer
yeah,
is yes, we
yes.
are. Because we will be driving on Friday morning, bright and early, get in the car, pack it up, driving
I
up
think you have
to
a larger drive than I do, so, or a longer drive than I do. So
really,
I think so.
I'm about 3.5 hours.
Two.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so we will be there on Friday to set up. We will be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Uh, looking forward to seeing all of you there. Remember that we're going to be screening the film. We're going to have giveaways, promotional stuff, free autographs from the cast and crew, right? Let's not forget that Tipsy directed The Stranded Warriors. So, for those of you that are interested, so yeah, there you go.
I
Yeah,
was
so
I
keep
had the privilege of directing Three
it
Warriors.
was awesome. It was really fun, and we look forward to the screening. We had a lot of fun, and we're very proud of all the awards. And we'll keep you posted because this weekend, guys, is the New York City Triborough Film Festival. If
Woohoo!
you're in New York City, at the Kaufman Studios, the Zucker Theater, will be screening on Sunday at noon. On Sunday, June 7th, will be the screening of The Stranded Warrior, along with a block. There will be other films. So between noon and 2 o'clock, there is a series of films that are being presented. Ours, The Stranded Warrior, is second in the lineup on June 7th at the Triborough Film Festival. So we're looking forward to that screening. Of course, I mentioned early on that we were nominated for Best Wardrobe. So congratulations, Michaela and Lori, for working on all those costumes and making sure everybody was dressed correctly, and to
And wore their
our
bibs while they're eating.
yes, and let's not forget Dave and Dave and Gary that
Gary, yep.
helped out and made sure that everybody was technically correct, right?
Hmm.
They were technical consultants, not to mention they had cameos in The Stranded Warrior, but they made sure that everybody looked camera ready, and they did. And so, we had a
It
good
was
thing,
fun.
Chris.
That
It
was,
was.
yeah,
It's
one of
really
those
fun.
events that you'll just never forget. So
Absolutely.
Well, thanks everybody for coming in. Ralph, thanks for joining us, and Erica and Cassie. And Cassie is like, it's 2 a.m. where they're at. It's probably almost 3 a.m. now.
Well,
And
thanks for joining
Dale
us.
Adams and everybody else, thanks for joining us up. We did do while you were gone. I did I used the Cylon
Magic Mirror.
Magic Mirror.
Excellent.
And we got a couple people recognizing there. Thanks everybody for their patience and getting it kicked off today. That was an interesting thing. That's Zoom never really failed us before, but that time that was a Zoom problem. So we got that fixed. Don't forget to check out the website. I did put down Jack Perez's website on the links in the chat, especially the teaching one. I think is a fantastic one. If you get a chance to check that out, watch that in its entirety. It's a really good watch. Let's put it that way. And plus all of the other trailers and everything else he has on his website. And don't forget, get your tickets for Shore Leave. We're gonna be there. We're gonna have a great time. I think we're gonna show those Star Wars people what Battlestar people look like.
That's right. Mina, thanks for joining us. And John Candelaria, thanks for joining. Shore Leave was on with us, following and watching as well. I'm sure you mentioned Scott Good and Rob Baum, our unofficial fact checker. And so thanks, guys. R.D. Moreno, of course. Thank you very much. And everybody else that's watching over on YouTube. I know usually Mediocre Modeler and everybody else are on there. So thanks for watching, guys. Looking forward to seeing you next time. We overcame our technical difficulties. I'm so happy that we were able to. We had great guests. Lindsay, of course, from Shore Leave. And we're going to have more Shore Leave, directors, directors will be coming on to talk about, what they do.
Parts of the show.
So June 15th, Chris. June 15th is when the tickets go, prices go up for Shore Leave tickets.
So
better make sure you get them before.
People. Get your tickets now. Actually, I will do this just to make sure everybody has it.
Put in a quick link.
Hang on.
Excellent. All right, guys.
The last link, copy, and where are we at? Paste. I have 4 monitors, so I'm like this all the time.
Yeah, you're awesome, dude. I love it. I really do.
I'm getting old. Whiplash. So there's Shore Leave's link, and we will see you next Thursday. Same bat channel, same bat place, same bat time, just a different bat date. And I really got that one. But anyways, thanks for coming. Don't forget to check out our merch too. I sent the link for the merch. Just for fun, if you want to. Tipsy Toaster glass and a Tipsy Toaster shirt, because they're
a New York Pete shirt.
They're much better than New York Pete shirts. And they're selling better than New York Pete shirts, by the way.
Come on.
So
wait till we catch up. We'll catch up.
But there's all sorts of really cool things for sale on there, and we're adding things every day. But once again, we really appreciate your support. We really appreciate you being here. And until next week, and when we get back into the location where we can broadcast again, we're moving back out into the space. We will see you then, 8:00 Thursday. But until then, please stay safe, take care, and don't forget that
fans fuel the fleet. Everybody, take care.